You're listening to Love Noir, presented by Congo Square Theater Company.
Welcome to Congo Square Theater's Love Noir, a podcast dedicated to conversations on Black love amongst theater makers. I am your host, Tracey Bonner, creator of Date Yourself Girl, and as a single woman who is also an artist, I have always wanted to get into the minds of couples in the arts and learn more about what makes them want to sustain their relationships in such a time that promotes relationship instability. So join me on this journey of love, relationships, art, and how the three intertwine. This is Love Noir.
Hi, everybody. My name is Monifa.
Hi, everyone. My name is Will, and we are the Sims.
Will and Monifa Sims, welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you, Tracey.
Good to be here.
How did this love story start?
It wasn't a love story.
No, we met at grad school.
We both went to the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. That's where we met. And we had lots of our classes together because we were the same major. So around comes my birthday. Then someone offered to take me to dinner. And as a broke college student, of course I'm going to say yes.
But I always take people out for their birthdays. That's what I did as soon as I got to grad school. So I wasn't going to take her out. And everybody got on my ass about it. It's like, no, Will, you took us out. Now you have to take Monifa out for her birthday.
I didn't know anything about this.
So I asked her, did she want to go out to eat for her birthday, and her favorite restaurant
at the time was
the Olive Garden. So we went to the Olive Garden, and we got to a big argument. So I got check. You know how to say check, please.
A couple of weeks passed, not long, and we had the end of the year
grad party.
The after party was like people's houses.
Yeah.
So it was at the after party. He said he was going to come. So I was waiting. I was like, well, I guess Will ain't coming. So I left.
So I went over to her grad dorm. I'm like, why you leave?
I was like, I'm tired.
Yeah. Because she was driving to Detroit the next day. She gave me her number.
I was going into winter break. Over the holiday, I was staying with my grandfather at the time, had a one-way, rotary one-way phone. So there was no call waiting. I know this is some old shit. He had been calling me, and the phone was busy. And he didn't have long distance either. So I had to get a calling card. Yeah. So I finally got a calling card to call him and say, hey, I don't know if you've been calling me, but this is what's going on. And he was like, oh.
I got a 3-call rule. I called her 3 times, nothing. Didn't hear back. It is what it is.
So after that, we got back to school and we just kind of, started dating here or there. And that's kind of how we started dating.
She liked me once I got back.
That's how it went.
I freaking love that because oftentimes it's a fairy tale. Oh, I saw her across the room, or I saw him across the room. This is very cool to hear that you all weren't really interested in each other in the beginning. So tell me, what role did theater begin to play in bringing you all together?
So we had like a juggling
movement
class. People had to get on our shoulders. We had to pick people up and be
really physical. So we had to work together.
So we had to work together. Other than that, it probably wouldn't have worked.
What is it about their talent that attracted you? What was it about Will on stage or in the classroom? Or Will, what was it about Mo that attracted you?
What attracted me most to Mo was she's fearless. She was fearless in class. She took no shit. When she was determined to do something, she did it. Whether the teacher wanted her to do or not, she took risks. You're coming into your own, and she was like, this is who I am. I'm on knee for days. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And I actually like that. It kind of turned me on a little bit.
The thing I liked about Will, I'd never met somebody who got along with everybody. He's always had this kind of infectious personality where everybody just loves to be around him. They love his energy. And that was very attractive to me. And that's what it was. It was just, who is this? Everybody just kind of loved him. And, even though we kind of didn't get along, it wasn't because he necessarily didn't do anything that I didn't like. I was just like, who is this guy that everybody likes? It was weird.
Hi, I'm Kelvin Roston Jr.
And I'm Alexis J. Roston. And we're the Rostons.
How did your love story begin?
It began through his cousin, Ron Connor, who's also part of Congo Square Theater Company. Ron and I were just homies, always together, always kicking it. And then Kelvin moved here.
I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. When it was time to move up here, she and Ron were already friends. And of course, Ron's my ace boon coon. So we had no option but to become friends.
I may have been engaged and he was married. So we were friends for a really long time.
I think it's really great that as time went on, you were able to grow as friends. Talk to me a little bit about how that friendship grew.
We did a show together and then we kept doing shows together.
There was carpools, like if going out to Writers Theater, we could just drive back and forth with each other.
You know, you're just always in each other's energy and space. And it was always good energy.
We had each other's backs in hard times.
If I needed something, I could count on him. If he needed something, he could count on me. Years later, we were separated from our other halves.
It just transformed. It just made sense.
It's been making sense ever since.
Well, answer me this. Was it Kelvin's talent and Kelvin, was it Alexis's talent that caught your attention first, or was it Alexis's beauty?
It was my booty, I'm sure he would say.
The first day I met him, there was not a spark. I didn't even notice if he was handsome or not. We really didn't pay each other no attention. He later wrote a song about the day we met. Since we've been married, he wrote that song.
It's called Black Dress and Red Shoes. That's the costume she had on.
Listen, I'm over here beaming because I know both of y'all can sing. So, Kelvin, can you sing a little bit of Red Dress, Black Shoes? What is it?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Go on, babe.
You put me on the spot with this one.
I did.
Black dress and red shoes. Girl, I just cannot wait to get with you. Something like that. I don't know. Black dress and red shoes.
Listen, I would love for me to write a song about me. Here, what role did theater play in bringing y'all together?
Theater played a big role because that's how I got to see him and learn him. It's where I learned to respect him as a craftsman. Like, oh, he got some chops. He's going to do well. I start speaking of his life. I start wanting better for him through looking at him as an artist.
It was how he carried himself. You know, I liked how he presented himself, how he took up space. His ego was loud in a room, and I enjoyed that.
Circumstances changed in our lives, and I was like, oh, well, maybe she's closer than a friend.
And when circumstances did present themselves, I loved him, and I knew I did. And so why not explore this romantic side of this if there's an opportunity? All of that came by way of theater.
Hello, I'm Aaron Todd Douglas.
Hi, I'm Ann Joseph Douglas.
And we are the
Douglases.
Ann Joseph Douglas and Aaron Todd Douglas, ATD. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Tracey. You're the best. We love you.
Hey, Tracey. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Look, we are going to jump right into this. How did you all come together?
He was chose.
I was chose.
I chose him.
Let's speak on that.
First night in grad school, we had all the students had gone to the Krannert Center.
This is at the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana.
To work on our monologues because we had auditions the following night or day for the season. I was there with my roommate, Libya Pugh. We were working on our stuff together. And then we were leaving. And then this gentleman walked down the stairs coming into the building. And I was sprung. And I was like, that's it. And then it took 2 full weeks, Tracey, like 2 weeks for him to come around and realize that I would be the love of his life. I was already ready to give up and move on. You're young. You're like, well.
I got slow game, Tracey. My game is slow. It needs time. I got jokes.
Listen, I love that. I think love does take time. For Ann Joseph, it was love at first sight. But for you, it took 2 whole weeks, 14 whole days. Talk to me a little bit about what that was like.
Well, I saw that look on her face, right? And I was just there to do my work, right? I was focused, okay? I was focused.
Yeah.
And I'm just there to do my work. I'm walking down, and I see these 2 sisters and I'm friendly. And then I see that look in her eyes. I was like, I tried to, I was bobbing and weaving. I was trying not to to get struck with the lightning that was coming up off of her. Because, I was in grad school. I was there to do my work and meet, MBA, medical school, assistant who could take care of me in the lifestyle to which I'm accustomed. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But it didn't, that wasn't in the cards, clearly.
I would love to hear, after those 2 weeks, what role did theater play in bringing you all together?
We did an audition together. Remember, we auditioned together?
Yes.
For Kentucky Cycle.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And we were reading with each other. It was kind of like, okay, all right, she can go a little bit. Yeah. And we had some little playful moments. Didn't I like mug you or something?
I'm sure you did.
I think I mushed her. It was the end of this scene, and her final line was, "You a lucky man, Cassius Biggs, a lucky man." And she landed it, and I was like, she got one up on me, right? So I gave her like a playful little head mush.
That's when I knew I had him. But it was in grad school where we met our friends, our lifelong friends now, where we all arrived in Chicago. We started Congo Square together. So as a couple, we were working on this theater company together with all of our friends. Some of our friends were couples as well. I guess theater has always played a role. When he was in Kentucky Cycle 2, he played this character who was a Cherokee chief. And so he had to learn Cherokee for the role. And I just thought that was hot. He would throw my name in one time.
And I slipped her name in, when I knew she was in the audience. And so, she would, in the midnight hour, she'd be like, say some Cherokee to me, baby.
See, listen, I'm the artist that when I ever do find someone attractive in the arts, I'm like, ooh, they're talented. I find that their talent is like the thing that I'm drawn to. And just to hear you talk about, ooh, that Cherokee was sexy, or, ooh, she got a one-up on me. I love to hear that.
On that note, I think you're absolutely right. The talent is part of the whole package. When you see somebody and you're like, I hope she good, because what if I like her? And then I see her and I can't respect her skills on the boards. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
Thank goodness she was good. So I was like, whoo, because it's important. I think it's important. The talent is part of the whole package.
What's up, everybody? My name is Jocelyn Banks.
And my name is Wesley J. Barnes, and we are the Banks Barneses.
Hey.
I know you, Joss, but Wes, this is my first time meeting you, so how did y'all connect?
I love this question. Joss saw me on social media and I guess took a liking to me, and then I became what he has labeled a social media crush. So after becoming a social media crush, I happened to be on tour with a friend of his. Her name is Kirsten. Mm-hmm. And I was going down to her dressing room after a show, and she happened to be on FaceTime with somebody. It was Joss. But as I walked by the phone, I hear somebody go, "Was that Wesley?" And I was like, wait a minute, who are you talking to that knows me off site? That's kind of wild to me. And she was like, oh, I'm talking to my friend Joss. So I walked over to the screen and was like, hi, it's nice to meet you. And he was like, oh, actually, I already know who you are. I tried to add you on Facebook and Instagram, but you just left me unresponded to. And I said, oh, see, the thing is, I don't answer DMs from people that I don't know. So that's what that was. He was like, well, it's nice to meet you. Can you add me now?
I saw him a while ago on social media and I thought he was cute. Upon talking to my friend Kirsten, I was also hearing about him and his personality and like how much of a light he is in the world. That was part of the reason why I was like, okay, well, I want to get to know this individual. And when I found out he was single, it was on and popping. It was like, now it's time. I'm going to swoop on in.
Talk to me about the role that theater is playing in your relationship.
Well, we're both theater artists. I always knew that I couldn't be in a relationship with someone that either wasn't an artist or didn't highly appreciate the arts. So finding someone that is also in this industry, it kind of makes it easy. Like our first few years of dating, he was on the road doing 2 tours. So a lot of our relationship was me, whenever I wasn't on a contract, going to go visit him in whatever city he was in. But that was pretty cool because when we met during the pandemic, it was kind of reminiscent of those times because we would just pick a random city to go to and just like stay at an Airbnb for like a week or so and just be with each other. Theater's been pretty great for like providing these little getaways for us as well within the work. I feel like it's all about how you look at things that really help establish how you can make the most out of your time with each other while on the job.
Is it their talent that also just kind of continues to draw you guys in?
Oh my gosh. Listen, I would be a big liar, the biggest liar, if I said that I wasn't attracted to talent. And that man sitting on the other side of the screen, he's got it. So any opportunity that I get to watch him on stage, I'm going to take it and just soak it up. One, because I'm proud, but two, because he just has so much to offer. And to see somebody on stage wholly offering themselves to other people for a specific reason, as such as storytelling, like it's a beautiful thing. And the way that he navigates leading a show is truly something that I will always learn from watching. It's special. And I've gotten to do it a lot, thankfully. I'm grateful that I get to do it more.
It's been a huge blessing being able to witness Wesley on stage as well. He's so incredibly talented and in areas that I feel like are not my strengths. That's just something that I really admire. And watching him on stage, he's just such a joy and a light in any room that he enters. Like every company that he works with, that's all that I see from them in terms of their appreciation for him and just his joy and his energy in the space. And I feel like that will take us a lot further than talent. Although I do know that we both have those good to offer. But I think the reason why we work so much is because of the energy that we bring into space and people really enjoying working with us.
Hey, I'm Tam.
I'm Kelvin.
And we are the Perry Douglases.
Kevin and Tamberla Douglas, welcome to the show.
Yay! Thanks for having us.
Everyone wants to know, how did your love story begin?
You go ahead and take it away. Take it away.
All right.
Because I love hearing his version.
I think it started at the cast party, the closing cast party. We spent a very, very long night just talking. Talking. We were both just kind of dealt with, or I was freshly dealing with a breakup, and she had dealt with her breakup just previously. So we just talked a lot about that. But how I remember it is there were a bunch of people sleeping, that had slept over. They were sleeping all over the house. And we were just in the middle of the living room or somewhere in the living room just talking. And anyway, that's how I...
That was good. I ended up working with Impact Theater Company, where we really got to know each other as comics, comedians, sketch comedy artists. And like he said, he was dating someone else. I was dating someone else. And at that rap party at my house, there were like 30 people just all over the couches, in the kitchen, everywhere. But we did have a long conversation that night. But I don't want to say that that's where it began. I thought that was where we connected a little bit more. But I want to say it began a few months later, because during that time when we were both going through breakups, we were both dating other people. But he asked me, could he move in with me? Because the person he was dating, he asked her to marry him, and she said no.
So
y'all became roomie lover friends? Talk to me about
yes. So yes. Listen, for guy, I'm not gonna speak for every guy. I'm not gonna speak for every guy. But even when there's still like this, oh, she's attractive, So maybe it wasn't love,
that's
but
a fact now.
But it's like, for me, I'm like, could I ever date her? Probably. So it's more of that. So did I fall in love that day? Maybe not.
And while he was thinking that, I was thinking I could never date him. But he is so nice. He is so nice. I used to watch how he treated that other woman that he dated for a long time. Tracey, I used to watch it from afar, not with envy and not because I wanted him, but I used to watch it with adoration for their relationship. I said, wow, that's a dude that gets up when she walks in the room. He pulls out a chair for her. If there's a buffet, he's saying, hey, what do you want me to grab you? What drink? And I watched that and I said, that girl better not let him go, because somebody's going to scoop him up. Somebody's going to scoop him up. I wasn't trying. It wasn't trying to be me, but I ended up doing it.
That was in the back of your mind.
It probably was subconsciously, but I had no plans on it. I really just paid attention to how he treated his other girlfriend, his woman at the time. And I was like, he's a special dude. I hope that girl realizes it.
You said that it wasn't like love at first sight or anything like that, but it was a connection. What role did theater play in bringing you two together?
Huge.
Yeah,
huge.
I think it started with the play, which was a
casting.
sketch comedy. It's a sketch comedy show, and I realized like, wow, she's funny. Like she's so funny. I've dated other girls that where I felt like I had to do all the comedy heavy lifting. Which is
exhausting.
Right? But she was like right there. If I throw out some, it's to this day. We make jokes. We're always, that's never changed with us. Like we always laugh.
Been connected on that level.
Yeah.
But theater was huge. I mean, that first show with Impact Blaxploitation was the thing that made us connect as comics, as comedians, when they finally did cast me. But again, during that show, he was still dating homegirl, and I was still dating another person as well. And so it wasn't like this, again, love thing, but it was a connection on the mental, artistic level. And then when we did a show called Black Diamond at Looking Glass, that is when the connection really started.
Hi, I'm Pamela Rami. And I'm Saquon Myers. And we're listening to and participating in Love Noir.
Paymon Rami and Masakwa Myers, thank you for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
I've known you for a very long time, but I've been dying to just ask you some real questions about love and the arts. How did your love story begin?
Thank you for having us and doing this. I think it's so important for people to talk about relationships that do function. So let me just say that.
That's right.
But we did meet. I was touring high schools in Chicago. I started a theater company a few years before. I had met Okoro Harold Johnson when I was 9. And he took me under his wing, and I met Theodore Ward, who was one of the founders of Negro Federal Theater. And then he took me under his wing, and then Oscar Brown. And so we were touring, and we met. Now, at the end of the performance, we were signing up for the theater company. And so she walked by, and I said, I'd like you to sign up for the theater company and put a star by your name, because I want to remind myself to invite you to audition. And of course, that was a ploy. She did mark it. And then I lost the list.
May I add to that and say that, no, it was not love at first sight. I just want to clarify that. And we have different stories about how we really met. But my side of that story is the fact that I was talking because I was part of the organizing of this event. Mm-hmm. I will admit I was doing that, but I thought I was being very cautious about the volume that I was using. But Paymon Rami turned around and shushed me. And I was annoyed. And matter of fact, I had to finish the point that I was making to the person I was speaking to behind him. And he said, will you stop talking? And so I said, if you stop talking to me, it'll be less people talking. So we had this really rough start. And so I said, oh, who is this arrogant person? How dare he turn around and shush me and tell me to be quiet? So that's how we started. I just wanted to clarify that. Now we can get back to how it continued.
Now, I would tell a different version. No, I'm just playing. I do think, however, that one of the things that I recognize, and I think that people need to recognize, that relationships are not limited to love. They're not limited to sex. They're not limited to dating. Love can be an expression of what you feel about what a person does and who they are. Yeah. And so what I knew very early in meeting Masakwa is that even if we didn't form a relationship, she was somebody that I wanted to work with. And we even had that conversation at a point that said, you know, if we have never hook up, we still gonna be business partners. Because I could see in her, as I saw in a number of other young people my age, that there was commitment, there was an understanding of what was happening in the world. There was a sensibility of giving. And so it was the goodness in the things that she represented and that she was doing that was attracting. Now, she had some great legs, and her hair would knock you out when she walked into the room. She had this mane, but on top of that, to watch her organize and motivate people was extremely important.
I think that's beautiful because you're right. I think in 2024, when we meet someone, we think love is about the butterflies and, ooh, they look a certain way. But you're speaking to the character of a person. And I think that's what's missing in relationships. We're not looking at the character of people anymore. So, what role did theater play in helping to develop this long relationship?
Well, I would say that it was intricately involved in our relationship because we both pursued the arts, both sensitive to the arts. Relationships, or just relationships in general, are based on philosophy and how you approach life, not all these other things that we talked about, how someone looks, how someone walks, how someone makes you feel at the moment. But what you have to have is the same value system and also the same philosophy. So if you fall out of each other, you're going to always understand each other. And so you have to understand that communication will bring you back together. And so communication is so important. It's so important to talk through things. I believe, if I recall correctly, we must have sat all night the night before we decided to get married outside of a theater that we had attended a play. And it was about 11 o'clock. I think we talked till 5 o'clock that morning, just talking through what's important to each of us. And that is what is missing so often. The fact that you assume you know what someone thinks, but you have to hear what they think to understand it clearly.
That's good. I might have to remember that.
That's interesting.
I'm Michelle Renee Bester. I am Jessica Moore. And this is Love NOIR.
Michelle Renee Bester and Jessica Moore. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm just going to jump right on in. How did your love story begin? And what role does theater play in your love story?
Theater plays a major part in our love story. We met at the theater. I was the associate director on a production and a writer-director of the show, and Jessica was my stage manager. And she met me, was obsessed, fell in love, child, and
Okay,
here
listen.
we are.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell the truth. So I lived in Atlanta for a period of time, and I would come home to Chicago to visit. And we met, like, she was sitting in the hallway. She was working on another project, and she was sitting in the hall. We were introduced, and I was like, oh, hey. That was it. But then I was the stage manager of her show, and she walked in the room, and I was like, oh, she kind of cute. Okay, they got some new blood. All right. And so I liked the way that she commanded the room. It was very assertive, very confident, but also she had this wit about herself that I appreciated. That was the initial attraction. It was the first day, so I may not like it in 2 weeks. Once the process gets to going, you know what I mean? But we went through that first process. Strictly, we built a friendship. And then I went to Spain with some friends, and I wound up telling my friends, I like her. And my friends were like, well, do she like girls? I was like, I don't know. I don't know if she do.
Because
But
my business is my business. Folks don't need to know your business, okay?
Especially in this industry.
Hello? Okay. And so I told my friend, and then I had come back from Spain, and I returned to the show, and she was at the theater, and she gave me a hug, and I was like, Michelle Renee Bester don't hug nobody. Like, she made that very clear in like rehearsals with people. Like, I'm not a hugger. You know, she set that boundary. And I came back and she gave me a hug, and I was like, oh, I got a hug. All right.
Let's mess up too.
Maybe she do like girls, you know?
Right.
But that's how it started. We let the show end, And then we kind of hung out, and then a little liquid courage let me tell her that I liked her. And then she shared that she liked me back in return. And here we are 2 years later. But even after we expressed that we liked each other, 2 months, 3 months, we were just making sure that we genuinely liked each other and we weren't moving off of, I like you, but you should be a friend. Because sometimes those lines can be misconstrued. We have an attraction to our friends. There's something that draws us to our friends, you know, and we wanted to make sure that that draw was romantic and we were acting on romance and not acting on something that should just be a friendship.
With Jessica, it was, she had a sense of being firm but fair. She had strong relationships with people in the show, but that didn't affect how she operated as a stage manager during the process. And so I was brand spanking new to this theater in this capacity. So I'm meeting a lot of people, I'm seeing how people operate. And for me, I'm an observer. So I will sit back and watch the room before I interject or say anything. And just watching how she moved, not only professionally, but personally, that I was like, yeah, this is. And then, of course, the girl got style. You know, I helped elevate it, but she had fashion.
Okay, come on, elevation.
Listen, that wasn't the question. Just keep going with the question.
You ask anybody
About Michelle
that knew
Renee.
her before me, they gonna tell you
She was fast.
the truth.
What they gonna tell me?
They gonna tell you it's me. They gonna be like, Jessica picked that out, didn't she?
I need to.
Jessica bought them shoes,
We
didn't
need
she?
to retract some things.
No, we keeping all this. This is good. What about you, though, Jessica? What was it that you were drawn to?
One, look at her face. Like, it's a beautiful face. Number one. And then two, she was just very assertive and very confident. And that is attractive to me. Somebody that is just confident in who they are. They move unapologetically. And then she made me laugh. I'm a hard nut to crack. I am hard. And she makes me laugh.
My thing too, you gotta have a sense of humor. We gotta laugh at each other and and find moments of humor because this industry can be so cutthroat. It can be so stressful. So we deal with so much. So having a laughing partner is key.
Hi there, listeners. I'm Deanna Griffin Irons.
And I'm Anthony Leonards.
And
together we are
DNA.
DNA.
Anthony Irons and Deanna Griffin Irons. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tracey. Always good to hear and see you.
So good to be here.
Absolutely. I've been dying to hear about how your love story really began, and did theater play a role in it?
Bit of a backstory. I graduated from Penn State with my MFA. There was a dude who graduated before me by the name of Keegan Michael Key. You may have heard of him. So
yes.
Fast forward, after grad school, I come up here to Chicago to work with Congo Square Theater. Within a month of moving here, I was just like on the street and ran into Keegan, who was at Second City, introduced me to Deanna. He said, "Hey, here's somebody that you need to meet because you're new to the city, and if you're in the industry, you need to know Deanna." So we met at Nookie's in Old Town, sat down to eat. So that's when I first met Deanna. We hit it off.
Yeah,
it was not
gelled.
romantic, but we just really connected.
Anthony, at some point, a little bit later after meeting, Anthony sent me a formal packet because I was doing diversity and inclusion work and recruiting talent. He sent me a formal packet, and I probably still have it somewhere, but it had his headshot in there. It had the workshops that he's taught, and it had a letter saying, "Here's who I am. I graduated from this, and I would love to work in this. I can teach this. I can do this. I have an MFA.
I was hustling, Tracey. You know how it is.
Yeah.
New to the city, I was hustling.
He was pitching himself. And I was intrigued. And anybody, Keegan and I are Detroit homies. We're from Second City, Detroit. That's where we started. And so I instantly felt that, okay, anybody that Keegan is bringing to me is legit. It's a real deal. And I should probably pay attention. So probably several months later, I end up getting a postcard from you about King of Coons. That was the show that Anthony had invited me. It was a postcard he had wrote on it, come see me in the show. And I ended up going maybe to the last weekend before it was closing. And I saw Anthony perform. I was blown away. And that's how I got him pulled into my world. It's like, oh my goodness, this is someone that we've got to get involved into our world. And Anthony was doing other stuff with Congo Square, but I was in the comedy world, or am in the comedy world. So
talk to me a little bit about what was that attraction in terms of talent? Was the talent that brought you in? What was it about him when you saw him in King of Coons that made you say, okay, I got to get this guy into Second City?
King of Coons, the show in and of itself is just an incredible story. And Anthony had a presence, an electricity to his work on stage. It's an energy, it's a dynamic amount of detail, precision that he brings to his work that made him pop on that stage. And him popping and him bringing that character to life where I felt emotionally connected and went on an emotional journey because of how he portrayed the character, it had me transported. So his art in acting just transported me, and that's just from his energy that he brings on stage.
Anthony, what was it that you were drawn to?
Hey, I wanted to work and didn't fully understand what Second City was, but just knew that it was an institution of comedy. And I had some things that I thought I could bring to the table. Yeah, Deanna was the one to know if you wanted to get in there and you are a person of color. She was the one who was that good advocate of introducing you to the place, the work, and giving you opportunity to do your work.
Hey, y'all, I'm Roxana.
And I'm Ron. We are the Connors. That's
CONNER.
Please and thank you.
I have Ronald and Roxana Connor. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. So glad to be with you, Tracey B.
Tracey B.
I know you all as artists and administrators, but I don't know much about your love stories. How did you all meet? How did this love story begin? And if this is part of this, how did theater play a role in bringing y'all together?
Well,
go ahead and tell your story. It's going to be two different stories. I'm just going to let you know that right now.
Yes, it is two different stories, but theater played a role in our love story right away because Roxana hired me for my first professional theater job. Was a children's theater touring company in St. Paul, Minnesota called Klein Theater. When she hired me, just to be clear, she was not my direct supervisor, so there was no
casting couch involved. I want to be very clear. Okay.
Yeah. She was just coming down to our alma mater, Clark Atlanta University, because the theater wanted to diversify. And this was in the 90s, so you know what that meant. They wanted Black people. So theater played a role right away. This is where the story takes a turn. So for me, Roxana was the head of the teaching program at the Children's Theater Company. I was an actor in the performance program. And so she would occasionally come in and watch our rehearsals. And one day she came in a tan skirt and some tan heels.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my. Without even thinking, I was like, what you doing tonight? And she said, none of your business. And I was like, oh, Lord, I done just hit on this woman at work. As far as Roxana, everything about her personality is just amazing. You know, she just is contagious. She draws you in. Smart, funny, all of that. And then when she walked in with the dress, I was like, oh, wait a minute.
On the case.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But, you know, she wasn't paying me no mind.
None. Let's be very clear. None mind. Wasn't thinking about it.
Tell me your version.
No, he hit on me a couple of times. That time I don't even remember saying none of your business. I was at work and I was trying to take care of my business, right? And then at a party, he hit on me and I was like, is he hitting on? I said to my girlfriend, is he hitting on me? Is Ryan Connor hitting on me? And she was like, girl, yes. And I was like, no, absolutely not. And then a few weeks later, we were at work and part of the uniform, everybody wore a t-shirt, a Climb t-shirt. And so we presented everybody with their t-shirts. They got to pick the colors they wanted and all that kind of stuff. And I had said to several people, Tracey, oh, that looks good on you. Oh, you look so nice in your new shirt. And he came in and I said, oh, you look cute. And he took it like I thought he looked fine. And that is not at all what I was saying.
That's all I needed to hear.
Tell me a little bit about what was the thing, Roxana, that made you say, you know what, I want to give this brother a chance?
I think in part he was extremely talented, but also just he was a good person. He had a really good spirit. He was kind. He was attentive. He made me laugh. We laugh a lot in our household and always have. And it was in one of those moments for me that I was like, well, I'm going to give it a shot. And I had been very intentional in my dating life at that point. I had been engaged once and called off a wedding. I had dated other folks after that. But it was the first time that I was like, oh, I kind of know what I want out of life now. I made a very intentional list. I don't even think you know this, but I wrote a list of the things that I wanted in a man. And it was like, okay, I'm going to write what I want, even the things that I'd be willing to deal with. Like I had on there, could have one child. I didn't want anybody who had more than one child, things like that. And then he came along. And in fact, I'd had a dream where I was with somebody I had been dating and but wasn't dating at the time. And this person and I were walking down the street and Keanu Reeves came out of nowhere and was talking to me and was like trying to get with me in the dream. And I was like, Keanu Reeves, that's really weird. But Keanu Reeves took off his shoes and had very distinct feet.
Yo.
And when that were not cute, let me be clear. Keanu Reeves' feet in this dream were not pretty, Tracey. And I was like, Keanu's feet kind of tore up to be Keanu Reeves.
Keanu, we're not coming for you. I just want you to know, we're not coming for you. It was a dream. Okay, go ahead, Roxanne.
We're not Keanu. We're not coming for you. But later on, as we started dating, I saw his feet and I was like, whoa, his feet are something. Feet. The feet in the dream. Yeah.
And Keanu Reeves also played who in The Matrix? The One. Look how it come around though.
So listen, Rye, because you are the one. I've had Roxana's cooking before, and I wanted to marry her. Okay, so when was it that you got your first taste of her cooking, and was that another part outside of her being attractive, smart, funny that drew you in?
Yes, the first time it was the next day after we had been to the club, and she had made shepherd's pie, which is a staple at probably any black college, but she was like, I'm gonna give you a taste of college. But it wasn't like the cafeteria shepherd's pie. I was like, what is this? And so then I went back to where I was staying and I told my roommate, I think she's the one. And this was early on. And everybody always says, you hear that, when you know, and you're like, okay, it's so cliche. But I knew, and my mama knew. She's smarter than me. That was also a thing. It's like she knows so much more than I do. Like I can trust her, and she helps me make the right decisions. I don't always listen, but when I don't listen, I always be like, I should have just listened to her. And so like all of that stuff was like, yeah, she was the one. And my mama knew because she kept saying every time she talked to me, I would be like, yeah, well, Roxana said. And she was like, I got to meet this girl, Roxana.
Well, that concludes this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Tracey Bonner, and I look forward to bringing you more conversations about the arts and Love Noir. See you next time. Love Noir was created by Congo Square Ensemble member Alexis J. Roston. Music by Kelvin Roston Jr. Editing by Brendan Reed.